something that this is why we're doing it after the show. Yeo Joon Han has kindly brought soundtracks for the film Sellout, 5 of them, which you can run after the show. There will be a picture of the names. But since you have no idea what the soundtrack for Sellout sounds like right now, we figured we'd wait until after the movie to give it to you, because you might not like it, but I think you will like it because it's really good. Welcome Yeo Joon Han and Peter Davis. So this movie's had kind of an interesting, or probably for you, annoying production and release history in Malaysia. Can you explain a little bit about that?
The production was fine, but it was a release. We had some problems with the distributors. We got sabotaged in it. When our film was released, we didn't, we went to the cinema, me, him, and a reporter, and we found that there wasn't even a poster there. There was nothing to indicate that our film was screening. And when we tried to buy tickets, they told us it was sold out. So then this guy snuck into the cinema and found, like 3 rows of people in there, because nobody could buy tickets.
Why was it so kind of notorious with the distributors?
We don't know for sure, but the suspicion is that because in Malaysia we have a scheme called the compulsory screening scheme. So if every Malaysian film that's released gets a compulsory screening of 2 weeks. So cinemas are forced to screen Malaysian films for 2 weeks unless the number of the audience falls below a certain level. So I think they were just making sure we fall below that level. Well, actually we could have done it without the help, but yeah, so that's our suspicion. It could just be that, our film is bad.
And we're going to do a full Q&A after the film ends, but I wanted to ask, why is substantial portions of the film in English with English subtitles?
The real reason, I think it's in the first 10 minutes of the film during the interview, the subtitles are mentioned. But the other reason is that Malaysians, we sometimes speak with a very Malaysian accent, and not everyone can understand it. So, it's kind of like, just a backup. But the real reason is in the first 10 minutes of the film.
And Peter, can you tell us a little bit about your singing experience before the film?
I hope you guys like it, because it was very painful and quite difficult to do. So, just enjoy it, and
the last time we were here, we had some friends from Malaysian Tourism Board. After the screening, they told us we were very, very dull.
So now we're going to do a sing and dance?
Yeah.
We're going to liven it up at some point next time, yes.
They say, oh no, New Yorkers, we are a lot livelier than this.
Yeah, we'll definitely show you something special. So stay in your seats after the movie. You might win a CD, and you'll definitely hear a Q&A that might be dull, but at least we'll do something more interesting. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Okay, take care. Okay. And enjoy the film. We'll see you in the last 2 hours. Peter Davis. Would you like to tell us something about the shirt you're wearing?
Well, it's a very nice blue colour, and they're available in the foyer outside, so please feel free to get one. Only 500,000.
We're accepting orders now. Speaking of sellouts, New York Asian Film Festival is #1. Welcome, and I wanted to, should we give these away now, or should we during the Q&A? So let's let them get to know you first. So this film is so cynical and hard and dark and cold, and you're such a nice guy, it seems. So what was the inspiration for creating the film? I mean, is it something that were you based on experiences? Because you've been a filmmaker before making this, and you've told us some stories about how difficult the Malaysian film scene is for somebody who's an artist, or somebody who doesn't want to do something that is expected of them.
I thought it was a comedy.
It is.
Yeah, sorry. I think it's the same all over the world. Trying to make films, it's not easy. It's getting easier now with digital cameras and stuff, but it's never really easy if you want to shoot on film or if you really want to get it, onto print at the end. And in our society, society tends to be more our society tends to be more practical. When I was a kid, we were always told, get your degree first, and then do what you like as a hobby. So even doing this, what happened here was that it took me years and years and years to get financing for a film. And when I did, I was supposed to make a commercial film, as in a mainstream film. but you know, there were so many things that I wanted to do. I mean, after all these years, you know, so I was caught in a dilemma. I had to make a mainstream film, but at the same time, I had all these things I want to say, and finally, I thought I would just make a film about what I was going through, and so you know, I wrote this. I mean, yeah, it's a film.
And you said, well, it seems like from what you said before that it's not the making of the film. I mean, finding the money is difficult, but making the film itself isn't nearly as difficult as getting it seen, because then you rely on the distribution of others. You know, short of taking it around from city to city with a projector screen and a video player, you have to rely. And so, can you go into a little more detail about the stuff that happened when? Because the film was completed in 2008. And then what happened? Was it shown? I know you've gone to some other film festivals around the world. I just wonder if you can tell a little bit more of the history of that.
Right.
When it finally was seen in Malaysia now.
We completed the film in 2008. Then it was we got into the Venice Film Festival. It did okay there. Sorry, am I allowed?
You say whatever you like. You're not going to tell anybody who works for the Venice Film Festival, right?
All right. Okay. Sorry. I'll be fast. It was releasing it in Malaysia is a bit hard because when we spoke with the distributors said, "Oh, your film has been to a film festival, not going to work in Malaysia." Yeah, and they said, at best we give you 2 screens. So the investors were not happy with that. So we tried to get more screens. I said, look, it's not a really art house film. There is some comedy in here. So
the reason they had that kind of hesitation was they were afraid of it being an artsy film festival movie.
That's right. They didn't even see the film. That's the best part. They just said, "Oh, film festival? No." And then when we showed them the poster, they said, "You won an award? Oh, worse." So eventually, I think they never ever saw the film, even during a premiere, which happened in their cinema. They didn't go in. I saw the lady and I said, "Hey, are you going in?" She says, "No, it's too cold." So that's the kind of support we had. Yeah.
And then, so finally, when you reached some kind of arrangement to release it in Malaysia.
Yeah. What we did was we went through the government compulsory screening scheme. You got to queue up for that, and you get the dates that are given to you. So we got a date between Star Trek and Wolverine. I don't know. I was in the lobby of the theater and thinking, I want to see Star Trek. I want to see Star Trek. Oh shit, I can't. Yeah. So it was painful.
Did you have any issues with Malaysian censors for the film? Was there anything that happened in terms of cutting?
Surprisingly, no cuts. I mean, we showed a different version of the film. The first scene was different in Malaysia. We couldn't show full nudity. I don't know if many of you noticed that he was nude.
Who was that guy?
He's actually one of our crew. In fact, most of the people out there were, crew members or neighbors.
But he's the only one who would show his penis on screen.
Yeah, and he was very proud of it. We said, don't tell anyone about this. I told the assistant cameraman who was in charge of video, I said, don't show anyone this footage because we don't want to get in trouble, right? We don't want anyone to know that we shot a nude scene. Then, we were shooting one day, and then the guy himself was showing everybody the scene. He said, "Look, this is my nude scene. Look, this is my nude scene. See? Don't think it's small. It's very powerful."
I'm sure he has a lot to be proud of, but I don't know.
He's proud.
So, Peter, how did Yeo Joon Han find you for the film?
I was working on a very old car in the same apartment block in which he stays in, and he drove past, and I think he questioned whether he should come over and speak to me, and he eventually came and spoke to me, and
he lied his way through.
Yeah, I blagged my way into a film, so that was great. He asked me if I'd done any acting before. I said, I'm in the sort of media industry, so I do modelling, TV commercials, etc. So then he went on to ask, if I could sing, because obviously the musical. I didn't know this. I just said, I can't sing for shit. And then he took that like, what do you mean you're being modest, or you really can't sing? I said, no, I really can't sing, but he didn't believe me. And yeah, I got taken up to Thailand where we have a vocal coach who's taught Barbra Streisand, Michael Jackson, and he said, okay, look, I don't know, Joon Han's better at telling this with, you know, this is the enthusiasm that the Malaysians wanted. I think you should take it away from him.
No, I think he just worked with Barbra Streisand. No one taught Barbra Streisand to sing. Or Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Also, don't tell Barbra Streisand about this Q&A. Venice Film Festival, Barbra Streisand.
Just delete it before you post anything on YouTube.
I'm not gonna, just make sure you do it after I leave the country.
Yeah. Oh. What was it?
I've heard this story. I can probably tell the story. You told me to me the other night in the bar. So the guy said he could make any even tone deaf people able to sing, right?
Sing within their range.
Well, I asked him, you know, I said, hey Tim, his name is Tim. I said, Tim, can you work with tone deaf people? Can you make tone deaf people sing, right? I said, June, there is no such thing as tone deaf. You know, some people just speak within a small range all their lives, right? All their life, right? So they just get so used to it, so they can't sing. They can't sing pitches that are outside the range. So oh, okay, and we brought him up, and then they made him sing, I don't know, Baba Black Sheep or something like that. And then the guy said, so can you work with this guy? And Tim said, you know, it'll take a while, you know, but I think you need to practice. I'll give him some exercises, you know, we record it, and then he can just practice on his own. So at the end of it, we at the day we recorded the Money song, which is very, very funny. You know, we had so many problems with it that I actually thought my plan at the time was not to have him sing it, was to have a bunch of people sing different lines from it. But it didn't work because everyone sounded so rich, you know. I mean, they all sounded like rich kids. So I said, you know, I think the only person who can sing this is Peter because he sounds like he's really suffering. So we pulled him in. We had to record it in my office. It wasn't even in the studio, you know. So we had this guy from Bangkok. He's an Italian guy who lives in Bangkok. He was our arranger and producer for music. And so we set up this makeshift thing. We got him to sing.
You should have seen my neck. It was such a neck look.
And we were outside. We were like, you know, three of us, you know. And then the other bit, you go like, it was a good take, right? You couldn't see us go on the floor. And then I turned to Tim. I said, but Tim, I thought you said, you know, there is no such thing as tone deaf people. And he goes like, June, I was wrong!
Thanks very much.
So have you continued your vocal career after Sellout?
I released a couple of albums and so
And I think that's a good segue into giving away a prize. And then we'll give away some prizes if that's all right. And we'll take some questions.
I've seen it's hysterical. Is there anything you're not cynical about?
it's coffee. I don't know the one that he brews.
Cynical about friendships, family, yeah, festivals.
Not true.
No, I'm not that cynical. You know, I'm less cynical now. I'm more cynical about filmmaking now, but I'm less cynical about life, I think. Yeah.
Kind of cynicism that makes a good comedy, though, right? I mean, if cynicism about work or something, that's a good comedy. Yeah. If you made a drama, like, you know, the kind of movies that I think people expect to see out of Malaysia, like a heavy artsy drama, then that would have been more depressing.
I don't know, man. Hey, I have a drama lined up, you know.
Is it cynical? So yeah, what's
Well,
what
it's
do you
kind of
think?
cynical drama, I guess, you know. But it's for my parents, so it's less cynical than just.
Make sure it doesn't get into any film festivals or win any awards though beforehand.
Oh yeah, we screen it first in Malaysia and then submit it to festivals.
Any other questions? Here?
Growing up, which Western film directors or movies most influenced you?
Right, okay. Mainly New York. New York filmmakers actually. Woody Allen, you know, Scorsese. I don't think you see a lot of Scorsese here. You know, a bunch of them. But you know, Woody Allen was the filmmaker that made me want to make films. Actually, I saw Annie Hall and I thought, wow, you know, film is a medium that is so flexible. There's so much you can do with film. Because when I was a kid, back in Malaysia, we used to watch every year. I mean, my dad would bring us to watch one James Bond film, one Jackie Chan film, and the going, disaster film, Towering Inferno, Poseidon Adventure. So that's what I thought films were. Until I went to London for my law degree, and I started to see other films. I think I saw my first Woody Allen film, The Radio Days, and Film Club, and Crimes and Misdemeanors, and Annie Hall. That Annie Hall really changed it for me because he used everything, split screen, subtitles. I mean, the subtitling thing. I mean, if I never seen Annie Hall, I wouldn't even do it.
The karaoke scene also.
Yeah, the karaoke scene. I mean,
Did you see his new movie?
oh yeah,
It's terrific. It's really terrific.
I liked it. Yeah.
Question? Does somebody pick up a question for Peter? I feel bad making him stand on stage. Any question for Peter? Who's going to ask a question for Peter? Peter for the actor? Come on. Yes. Well,
Does he have any other films?
yeah. What you said you
So
shot?
I have
Any other films lined up?
Camera films, I think.
That's not what she means. He's got the most expensive, biggest camera I've ever seen. Stills camera.
Yes. Right.
It's amazing. Anyway.
That runs on digital, right? Yeah, I did. I've done a couple of short films, TV dramas, and as far as films go, I did an action movie called Apocalypse X, which should be out maybe next year, I think, or end of this year.
Did anybody see When the Full Moon Rises that we showed a couple of years ago? Malaysian film. I think the last Malaysian film. The same director.
Mamat Khalid, yeah.
Ami Khalid he's making a big, post-apocalyptic action film. Looks great. I've seen the sales. It's not ready yet. It won't be finished for another 3 months. Otherwise, you'd be seeing it here.
They're working on CG right now, I think.
Yeah. And Peter's one of these.
One of the 5 big gangster guys, if you like to call them that.
So you speak Russian in it.
I speak Russian, and it's all in Bahasa, apart from I speak Russian for one segment of the film, which was interesting.
Apocalypse. Yeah. So it's not finished. Peter hasn't seen it. You'll probably see it here next year. I'm willing to bet. Questions? Comments? Yes, with that.
Hi. First of all, congratulations on making such a highly original film.
Thank you.
From what I understand, probably tough. I can explain how tough it was. Not making it a genre film. What was really stood out to me was the social commentary. There's a thread throughout the film, from everything from seeing money change hands to, of course, the franchise. And the characters' preoccupations with their identity, be it Malaysian, Chinese, Eurasian. I was wondering if you could speak to those points, what that meant to you.
The social stuff, or
Yeah.
just the Asian thing?
All of it.
Should we sit down here?
Grab a seat now. I think the social stuff mainly. Well, when I made this film, I didn't set out to send out social messages, but it's just that as you write, and you just everything you feel about things that you observe on a daily basis that affect you, somehow it just comes out in your writing. I sound so pretentious. I'm sorry.
It doesn't come off that way at all.
Yeah.
You haven't won the debut women's Asian feature award yet, so
I'm still on my 33rd film. I'll get it on my 34th. There are lots of things I love my country. I love Malaysia. I love Malaysians. We are pretty relaxed people and quite nice sometimes. But we do have problems. And we talk about them in coffee shops. We don't. It's not broadcast. So when I wrote this thing, it's like when you create a character, you know that this character is going to go through this shit, and so it comes out that way. Malaysia, because of the racial thing, is one thing. I don't know if you noticed, there are no Malays in this film, as it were. Maybe I'm overthinking, but I sometimes worry that if I make a comment as a Chinese guy, Chinese Malaysian making a comment, making a film that has a Malay character doing bad things, I might get flagged for it. So things like that. I mean, some things are not that obvious. Also, money stuff. I mean, doing doing creative stuff, creative things, the only way to get away doing creative things is to work in an advertising agency. You get paid well, but you're not really doing your own stuff. You know, everyone thinks they are, but they're not. You know, you're doing your client stuff. I was in an ad agency for 4 years. I had a good time. You know, I was getting paid well, but it was not fulfilling. So, and then I got, you know, I see a lot of rich people. My bosses were rich, and they were pretty nasty to me. Yeah, they wanted me to stay in the agency when I wanted to quit, and the way they tried to persuade me was to say, Joon Han, you need this job because your parents are not rich. Yeah, and another guy, you know, he called me at home as I was vacuuming the floor, talked to me for an hour, and I was just like, until he got to the point where he said, Joon Han, you know, tomorrow I can hop on a plane, fly to Paris to watch a film, but you can't. Do you know why? Because you got no money. And I'm like, why would you want to go and watch a film in France? It's in French, they're all dumb. Well, you know, yeah, so you know, and the pen agent thing, I didn't mean it to be such a big part of it. It's just that originally the role of the engineer, the Eric guy, he was supposed to be a Chinese guy, a total Chinese geek, but I couldn't find a guy to play it. So when I cast him, I had, you know, it highlighted the Pan-Asian Eurasian thing a little bit more than I wanted. Originally, it was just the Hannah Edwards Leong character. And it's true because in Malaysia, in Asia actually, I've heard that, you know, some music stations, TV stations, they would only employ you as a VJ if you are Eurasian. They won't employ you if you are total Asian, you know, like a pure race. And we do, you know, we somehow adore Pan-Asians. You know, they look different, they look better to some people. Yeah, so that's the thing. No, they're really nice people. Seriously, it's nothing to do with that.
But, you know, if you hadn't had Peter in the film, if Peter weren't in the film, if you were a full Asian character, you wouldn't have what I think is one of the best jokes in the film, which is that why you're speaking half English.
Yeah. So, you know, those are the happy accidents.
You never know.
Thank you.
You never know. Good answer. So, and a couple more questions. I think we have time. A question over here on the aisle.
Have you ever been at a screening where the audience started singing to the karaoke song?
In Venice, you know, I didn't hear it because we usually sit right at the back, right, in the corner, so we can sneak out every time things go bad. But there were people who came out and said, you know, they started singing. There was this bunch of girls that said, "Oh, we started singing the song," and then, you know, the people behind them told them to shut up. But I heard that in Montreal, the Fantasia Film Festival, apparently the audience started singing along. I wasn't there, but you know, I heard a lot of reports.
You might have been singing in French, though.
In French, yeah. What is it? L'agent? Agent?
It was last year, right? Last year? Huh? Last year?
Last year.